There we go. Periscope and Facebook Live today. But I probably need to turn the camera around. That's the issue. Let's see. There we go. Okay. There we go, you guys. So we're in two places, Periscope and Facebook Live. Hi, you guys. Thanks for joining. So our topic today is heat damage. That kind of tends to be a trend, especially with everyone wanting to embrace their natural texture and maintain their curls. So thanks for joining. I'll give you guys a little bit more time to get on Facebook. So for those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Tammy Golden. I'm a licensed cosmetologist of 27 years now, salon owner, and currently or newly product manufacturer for Silk Out Hair Care Systems. So stay tuned to learn more about what we're going to have going on, education, hair care, etc. The mission of Silk Out Hair Care System is to bring care back to the hair and bring clients back to the chair to really empower professional stylists to take control of this hair care business, being that it's kind of went a little sideways with a lot of product companies just wanting to offer consumers results based on marketing and not based on technique and the premise of hair care, professional hair care. So that's our mission. But today we're going to talk about heat damage. That tends to be interesting topic. For those who don't know me, I specialize in several things, but one of the main things that I specialize in is healthy hair. And it never fails when I get a new client and they come to me and they've been having their hair traditionally pressed with traditional tools, and their hair is just in really, really bad shape. If you saw the post I posted earlier on my Instagram page promoting this live, you'll see a person's hair that has what looks like regrowth from a relaxer, but it's not regrowth. It's actually heat damaged hair. And I took a quick shot of her hair one day when I was getting ready to blow dry her hair to show how much healthier and how much integrity her hair has maintained from, having a different type of styling service, which is my Silk Out. I use ceramic irons only, ceramic and titanium irons. Hi, I can dance. Ceramic and titanium irons, because I believe they are so much more safer for the hair. They preserve the integrity of the hair. It's a measurable amount of heat. And I get the same results that I was getting before with more traditional, tools that we're used to using. But I'm getting even better results in terms of long-term care and my clients being able to maintain their hair on their head. If you see any of my clients, they have pretty thick hair, pretty healthy hair, and they always get compliments and things on their hair, or I get referrals and people are just amazed that one, their hair is so thick and that I don't use pressing combs. Hi, thanks for the hearts. Dewan. Yes, Candace, the integrity of the hair is so important, because although you may be getting, back in the early 90s when everybody was doing this like hard press and double press and hard press and then double back with a hard flat iron and then double back with curls. Thank you. Yes, Jackie hair is always nice. And they double back with curls, and yeah, you had very, very straight hair, and it actually made people's hair more manageable, or what they call heat training. They were training the hair with the heat, and all that heat training, all that is just heat damage. If you can break down the bonds in the hair permanently with heat, which can be done, generally the bonds in the hair are broken gently with water when you shampoo the hair. You're able to reshape the hair. That's why roller sets are great choices for healthy hair, because when the hair is wet, the bonds are temporarily broken. You can go back, roll the hair, set it, and change the form of the hair. And when it dries, the bonds holds in that shape until you re-moisten the hair again and it goes back to its natural shape. And those are very gentle ways. And then you have relaxers in which you can break the bonds with, which are more caustic and definitely permanent. And they can't be rebuilt after that. And then when somebody said that they're training your hair. They're training your hair with a pressing comb. I used to hear that term a lot. Oh, when I came out of braids, it just needs to be trained. That means you're putting aggressive amounts of heat on the hair to start to break the hair down. And when does it stop? So, and I see countless women. I have countless pictures in my phone of women with breakage or shedding, or when I go to shampoo their hair for the first time and I'm rinsing their hair, doing the first rinse, and their hair does not revert. And I'm asking them, do you have a relaxer? First of all, I can smell the carbon. I can smell the burn of the carbon in their hair. It's so soiled in their hair. So that tells me they've been having a lot of pressing combs in their head and way too much heat. And then if I'm wetting their hair, taking the hose back and forth, trying to, release the curl pattern, I get nothing but very straight hair. And if I look at the sink, 9 times out of 10, there's a few strands that are shedding as well. So when they tell me, oh, I don't have a relaxer, I just been getting my hair pressed, that's unfortunate that much heat was being put on their hair to so-called get it straight. And how am I able to not use pressing combs? One, because I do proper preparation for the hair. If a lot of people, I worked in salons, I work with a lot of people, and they do not blow dry the hair properly. They take a easy route, which is usually a comb attachment, dry the hair, and then it seems like the hair is so huge and out of control that the only way to break it down to the next level is to use a pressing comb. But I have a specific blow dry technique that I share in my classes, whether it's a regular silk out training class or a taming treatment class, on how to properly blow dry the hair and prepare it for a silk out or smoothing or straightening service. So proper preparation is key to being able to get control of that hair. So how much heat is too much heat, you guys? What is the measurable amount of heat? Honestly, when you look at the traditional, pressing irons, people will say, oh, well, I just know, and it's just something that you just know. And I can say from years of doing hair, and for about 20, at least 19, 20 years, I use pressing combs. You do start to gauge how much heat is too much heat. But even that heat I found later was still too much heat. And, we all have our way of, I'm going to use this highlighter as an example of when we take the pressing comb or take the irons out the stove, we put it next to our face and we kind of gauge, oh, okay, it's warm enough or it's hot enough. But over time, what I found is that the metals that are that the irons and tools are made of can rubbing against the hair start to break down and remove the cuticle of the hair, which starts to leave the hair exposed, which leaves more split ends, and the hair begins to break. I've actually just studied this, and I've had clients where I only use pressing combs, and I have clients where I only use ceramic irons, and eventually I made the choice to just use a ceramic irons. It was something they had to get used to. One, they had to get used to their own texture. The pressing combs were making the hair so straight that people were not realizing that their hair was thicker than they was actually used to, because they were, the hair was being broken down so much. So once they got used to, this is the natural thickness of their hair, I've had clients that have come in, and I think there's a client I did about a year ago. She didn't know her natural hair was this very beautiful, loose curly hair, because someone had been pressing her hair so straight that all the curls, all integrity, all the elasticity was gone out of the hair. And after she came to me, hey, Dorinda, thanks for joining me. After she came to me for about 6 weeks, 8 weeks, first of all, her husband noticed. He was like, gosh, your hair smells better. Don't smell burnt, Second, it was just smoother, because what happens with the ceramic irons, you guys, if you're not familiar with them, they actually help start to smooth the cuticle, and they positively charge any weak areas in the hair. And that material has been found to be better for the hair. So when I first switch new clients over and I start smoothing their hair and straightening their hair with those irons, they'll see that the hair is, it's actually staying straighter longer. The ends are, being sealed. What cuticle is left is being sealed. And I may have to take them through a series of deep conditioners to actually strengthen what's already there and damage, so it can hold on until we get to a point where some of it sometimes needs to be cut. And some of it doesn't need to be cut. It just needs to be healed. It depends on the severity of the damage that's been done. And and how can I explain this? There's such a thing called indirect heat and direct heat. Blow drying, roller setting, air drying is indirect heat. All right. Direct heat is pressing combs, blow dryers, flat irons, crimping irons, any type of tool or iron that's heated and it actually touches the hair. So you have to be careful with the direct heat. And here's another good example of why I use ceramic irons. Think of your ceramic iron as, excuse me, my nose keeps itching. Think of your ceramic iron as your like Teflon, frying pan or Teflon cookware. Non-stick, you can put an egg in it. It won't burn. It'll cook very gently, but it just won't burn the iron. It's going to protect the egg from, it won't burn the egg. It's going to protect the egg from actually burning. You can melt cheese in it. And if you have a really, really good one, you can melt cheese in it, but the cheese will never actually burn. Okay. That's the comparison of a ceramic or titanium iron. Then think of a cast iron skillet. A cast iron skillet, one, you have to put, oil in it if you don't want your food to burn. Two, you're actually cooking the hair. You're actually frying the hair. If anything that you put oil in and then you put heat to it, especially the material, the direct heat of a cast iron or any type of iron, oil, whatever touches that iron and the oil is going to cook. And it's going to fry. Okay. So over time, your hair becomes fried. I've seen it. I've been doing hair long enough to see the difference. And I'm not saying if you use pressing combs, I'm not saying throw them away. I'm just saying, if you are looking for healthier options for your client's hair and you've seen, or you've, kept trying to figure out why their hair is in this situation, or they come every 2 weeks and you're not seeing a progression, or you think their hair could be longer, or they always have split ends, but it's unexplainable. I honestly don't think ends need to be trimmed every 6 weeks like most people say. My clients don't need it because of the ceramic irons that they don't have as much heat, and the element, the tool, the ceramic plates versus the iron or cast irons protects the hair and prevents the ends from having to be so fried that the cuticle, tears apart and the ends need to be trimmed. My clients on average get a trim if they're in great condition and, I've brought their hair back to healthy condition. On average, get a trim probably every 3 to 4 months. That's more like 12 to 15 weeks. Some 20 weeks. If they don't come in but once every month, once every 2 months, their hair is not being exposed to heat that much, they may go about 4 or 5 months. And that's how you get hair length. Trimming ends every 6 weeks if your hair high. Hi, how you doing? Thanks for joining me from Canada. Thanks for joining me. So you guys, I'm in 2 places, Periscope and Facebook Live. So if their hair needs to be trimmed every 6 weeks, how are you really going to get hair retention if you're trimming the hair every 6 weeks? So if hair needs to be trimmed every 6 weeks, there's something going on with the integrity of the hair. And that usually starts with conditioner, shampoos and conditioners, and then your heat source, your styling of the hair. Okay, so kind of like think of like a branding iron, like how they brand animals. That iron is hot. It's hot. You can put the iron close to the skin and you can feel the warmth of it, but you won't get any damage of it. But when they actually brand that person's skin, it burns it, it boils and buckles over, and that's how they get the brand. So think about the heat sources that you're using or that your stylist is using, and if you are experiencing damage, shedding, or you've lost your curl pattern, it's generally because of those heat sources that can cause that damage. And I always tell people, is it measurable heat? I like ceramic irons because it's measurable heat. How much heat is too much heat? Well, the maximum that I've seen on a ceramic iron is up to 450 degrees. Anything over that can start to cause damage. But guess what? We can measure it at 450 degrees. You cannot measure those other tools. They're just unmeasurable. Yeah, you can time it over every three, every three passes, every three curls, then you put the iron back in, or every 5 curls, you put the iron back in, or you turn your stove down on low. But I like measurable heat. I know I'm never going to burn anyone's hair, which I didn't burn hair when I was using those other combs, but I still was it was drying the hair out, Here's another example. Take a Teflon or your one of your coated pans and put some water in there and turn it on. And then take one of your cast iron frying pans and put some water in there and see what happens. The water in the cast iron pan will evaporate quicker because it's dry. The element that is in is super, super dry. Or take a regular little pot that has no coating on it and put water in there. It's going to evaporate quickly. Okay? So what would that do to hair? It's going to dry hair out. When you're using those type of elements, those type of tools, they dry the hair out. So it removes the moisture. Once you remove the moisture, then the hair is subject to be, weak, dry, break off, and be brittle. Coating the hair with oil and curling it to put moisture in the hair is not going to replenish what's being taken out by those irons, especially if they're getting their hair done consistently with those irons. But when you look at a Teflon pan and you put water in those pans, it takes a long time before that water dissipates and is evaporated. Because of the material that's in the pan, it allows for the water to maintain. You can roll that water around. It will not evaporate like if you put it into a cast iron pan or a non-coated pan. Okay, so if you want to do a comparison, the comparison to ceramic irons and traditional, metal irons is the difference between using a Teflon coated, frying pan or cookware versus, just raw cookware. The cast iron. Now, cast iron is great. It's great for cooking in, but not great for your hair. So kind of think of that comparison, and that will actually help alleviate hair damage a lot. Second, can you get hair damage with a ceramic iron? Yes, you can, because if you iron it too much, too many passes, too many times, if your client is one that wakes up and every morning she has the flat iron. I have a client that she comes to me weekly. I flat iron her hair, but in the front, she works out, she gets it wet all the time, and she flat irons it up there a lot. And how can we tell? Because that's where it's breaking at. Why? Because she's doing a direct heat source to her hair every single morning. You don't want to use irons on your hair every single morning, even if they're ceramic. I'm not saying that the ceramic irons mean that you can't damage the hair. If they are misused way too much, then you can also create damage as well. How do you damage the hair with the ceramic irons? Too small of partings, too high a heat. Everybody's hair doesn't have to be styled on 450. You can style their hair as low as 350, 375 to 400. My relaxer clients, I can't flat on their hair on 450. It's too high. I flat on their hair on, some 375, some 400, because they don't need as much heat as somebody with natural hair. And over time, if I was using 450 on a relaxer client, it's going to damage their hair. So you have to know your heat sources, and then you have to be familiar with the type of hair that you're dealing with. All hair types don't need the same amount of heat. Everybody wants their hair straight and sleek and they want it to last forever. But first of all, I don't promise my clients this, I'm going to make this silk out last for 4 weeks. One, you need your hair shampooed more often than that. And that's not the goal. I know in most, textured hair salons, traditional black salons, the goal was to make the press last forever. But that we have to come away from that and re-educate our clients that it's not about making the press last forever. I think general hairstyle, silk out, thermal styling service should, last up to a week. If you can't shampoo every week, you should be shampooing at least every 2 weeks. And you will have some reversion after a week. You should have some reversion after a week, because that means your hair is in good shape. If your press does not revert at all, due to heat damage. Now I have some clients that tell me, I've been a whole month and my hair is still straight. I'm not impressed because I'm really more concerned with you keeping your scalp clean. Their hair just happened to with a lot of product and now it's weighed down with a lot of oil buildup. Yeah, it is gonna last, but that's not my goal. That used to be my goal back when I first started doing hair. People were make my press last, make my, press last, turn up the heat, make my curls sizzle, that whole era. But as we get more educated in our craft and we see what's working for our clients' hair and what's not working for our clients' hair, we have to make the professional decision to say, you know what, this is not I don't think it's the best practice, and I don't want to practice this type of hairstyling anymore. I want to stick with hair care. And that's kind of what I evolved to. Back in the French roll and freeze days and everybody was doing updos and things. And, we used a lot of hairspray. We used a lot of heat. But when people got ready to wear their own hair, the hair, lacked a lot to be desired. That was my experience. And that's when I realized, yeah, we did all these styles, but the condition of the hair is just not that great. So I've learned that less is more. And if you're someone who really, really desires healthy hair, or you're someone who wants to be a great hair care provider, sometimes style, I'm not a stylist. I don't style hair. I care for hair. I make sure the hair is healthy. When the client leaves, it's smooth and she has the amount of curls that she wants. I make sure their ends are trimmed, they have a nice shape, and however I curl it and comb it or they run their fingers through it, that becomes the style. I don't focus on creating one specific style because that tends to become actually the like the arch enemy of hair care is sometimes over styling the hair. And yeah, we can be very creative and a lot of people are talented at molding the hair and hiding the hair and recreating whole different looks, but at the compromise of what? At the compromise of the person's own hair. When I first seen, I was at a hair show and I seen some kind of quick weave or something like that done. And I was like, but what about the hair underneath? Like they were putting all this stuff on the hair to take somebody with tons of hair and mold it down and make it look like it was flat to their head and then glue all this hair on top of their head. And I was kind of panicking inside because I was like, what's happening to the hair underneath? If you neglect the hair underneath, don't expect to have healthy hair when you're done with all the latest styles. You see all these clients, they come out of their weave, and what's the number one thing they have is they have their leave out, quote unquote, from their quote unquote protective style, their weave. It's a weave. It's not a protective style. It's a weave. They've just reinvented these names to make them more sellable, so that you think you're protecting your hair because you have a weave. And nine out of 10, they come out with just as much damage as, or more damage before they went in. So be mindful of, hair care. Be mindful of the amount of heat that you're using on your client's hair. Or if you're a client and I have people tell me all the time, my stylist uses too much heat, and I don't know how to tell her. I don't know how to get her to stop using that much heat. It's really up to you. My clients are spoiled. They know exactly what I do to their hair. They know the benefits. They're educated as well. I've educated them on the benefits of why we're not using this press and comb. When someone comes to me for the first time, they're always looking for my setup. My setup is a blow dryer and 3 irons, 3 ceramic irons, 2 ceramic, 1 titanium iron. And they may get a little nervous. Thank you, Darren. Thank you for joining. Thanks for that. They may get a little nervous because they've like, oh, well, is it gonna last? Is it gonna stay straight? And I always tell them, yeah, it's just a different technique, and the reason for this technique is to make sure that your hair stays in optimum health. So now, if I happen to not be available, or if I'm off work, I was off work, a few years ago for a short period of time, and my clients had to seek services elsewhere, and not everybody went to where I referred them to. I referred them to people who I knew who could maintain their hair, but some of them went other places. And when I came back to work, their thing was, oh my God, I could not get him to understand that I did not want my hair pressed, flat ironed, and curled, And that's the only way he did hair. And her hair suffered for that. Her hair had never been that thin before. And we went through a process of about 8 months of conditioning it, growing it back out, trimming it. And she got back to a nice head of healthy hair, So my clients, it's hard to pull one on them because I educate them about everything I do. I educate them about my products, and they're sold on that education because they see the results and they experience it in their hair. So that's my spill about heat damage, you guys. I don't want to hold you. I wanted to come on. I tried to come on last night, but I said, you know what? New Edition is going to dominate. New Edition is going to dominate the news feed tonight. So I kind of waited too late yesterday. So, oh, thank you, Steve. Thank you. And I got to get back with you about the class in March and check my schedule. So that's my spill about heat damage. If you know someone that's, suffers from it or wants to know how to prevent it or to avoid it, they may be able to take your position, but they can't take your place. Thank you, Darren. That's fine. Actually, my goal is to train them. So that I'm not just the only one. There's plenty to go around, but my objective is actually to train, especially the next generation. That I think hair care is a lost art. There was an art when I came up. It was an art to having beautiful, healthy, bouncy hair, and that people traded that in for 2 bags in the closure, or people traded that in for some, I don't want to school, Darren. But I like working with schools. I work with Mr. Ellis. I volunteer in their schools in different beauty colleges locally. Working on that, Darren. I got some things in the works. And that's what the product line is, the beginning of that, is just to communicate hair care the way that I like it. So yeah, hair care has become a lost art. People have traded it in. Thank you. I agree with everything you said about the heat. Bye for now. Okay. Thanks for joining me. Hair by Reagan. So yeah, I'm gonna close. Yeah, hair care has become a lost art. People have traded it in for quick styles. They want to look like the celebrities, but it comes with a cost. All of those styles come with a cost. All of those weave-ins, quick weaves, glue, all of that comes with a cost, and people pay for it with their hair. And when they look up and they're ready to move forward and they want to get back to their hair, they have to, most of the time start over and embrace where they're at and start over. And many of them don't want to do that. Or your stylist doesn't want you to do that because she doesn't do hair care. She wants you to be committed to those 2 bags and a closure. So, or whatever else, glue stuff, they do. I don't know. But, so I'm going to sign off for now. Thanks for joining me, you guys. Stay tuned. I plan on to have a whole list of topics that I want to share with you guys and just kind of help empower stylists and then raise some curiosity in consumers and go back and ask these questions to your stylist if they're not already providing great hair care, and let's get this whole hair care thing back on track and help people have beautiful, healthy hair. So you guys, thank you for joining, and I'm signing off. Take care. Bye-bye.